And there is celebration down in the Dale Earnhardt pit area.
I got to ask you something, Chocolate. Okay,
Yeah.
if we get back to some of these Dale Earnhardt moments, the other thing that I remember being captivated by was, and I think you're sort of alluding to it, is that there were a lot of times when the team would have to almost go play the political side with people to sort of find resolution in which, and it's usually because Dale was in the hunt for a championship. And so when we had Ricky Rudd on, that Dale and Ricky had that, well-publicized, dispute, we'll call it. And there was another occasion where the crew chief or Richard or whoever would have to go to them like, listen, I know you owe him now. You owe him, but we're in the championship. And so we're going to ask that, don't get him back later if you have to, but just, whatever. Is that how you remember it too? Because what we're thinking is, these guys are scrappy, man. They're going to fight. It sounded like you guys were better at the politics, and you guys could honestly be diplomatic about situations. Is that right?
I don't remember any of the diplomacy, to be honest with you. Here's what I remember. If you got him back, you were in serious trouble. Right? Look, he was the intimidator. Yeah. Because he didn't care. You hear these guys talking about, hey, we're going to Martinsville. That'll be a lot of people get paid back. If you wronged him and the next race was at Daytona, you're getting paid back. He didn't care. It didn't matter. It didn't matter where he was at. Look, Dale Earnhardt, Dale did not do as much as a lot of people thought he did. He didn't have to. After he'd done it a few times, he would just get behind. You watch the race today, and you're trying to figure out whether they actually touched him or the air spun him, right? Did he really? We just watched it like a couple of weeks ago, and you guys in the booth up there talking about it. Well, I think just the air is what turned him. Well, those guys looking in the mirror is what turned them when Earnhardt was driving, because they saw him coming, and they, how much you got to focus. Well, they started focusing on what was behind them, not what was in front of them. And he wrecked a lot of people and never touched them and didn't need the air to do it, right?
Psychological.
Yeah, for sure.
Of those disputes, if I were to say, okay, Jeff Bodine, Ricky Rudd, and Rusty, which of those sticks out to you? And do you have any moments that really of impressions of any of those altercations? Because you would have probably been part of all.
I'll give them to you in order.
Let's hear it.
It would have been Bodine, and then Rudd, and then Rusty, okay? That Bodine deal was a real deal.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys did not like each other on or off the racetrack. On or off the racetrack, right? I think the Ricky Rudd deal was really, I got to give them both a little bit of credit for it. Both of those guys were pretty hard-headed on the racetrack. They weren't going to take anything, and I'm not saying anything wrong with that. That's just the way they are. You got some guys out there that will and some that won't. Neither one of those guys would take anything. So I guess, and I don't know this for a fact, Ricky Rudd is a friend. I like the guy, but your dad took his job.
Yeah, he was.
Right? So automatically, he's probably not liking your dad too good. And then when they go out there and race, racing your dad, he's if he can catch you, he's going to move you if he needs to. And they had that relationship. But Bodine, it was one of those things with Bodine, even later on, your dad, he was going like, man, old Bodine's going through such a struggle. I started to feel a little bit sorry for him, right? But he still raced him like he did not know him.
Whatever compassion he had.
And by the way, I'll share this one to you, because if you go, and I'm sorry, I can't remember what year it was, but it was the year that Ricky and your dad got into it up at North Wilkesboro.
I think it was 89, 90.
89.
Yeah,
89.
and there's a big, almost a fight.
Oh, yeah.
Almost a fight out on pit road. I'm right in the middle of it. It's like you see one Goodrich shirt and you see about 15 of those Quaker State shirts, right?
Yeah, Larry Mack, too.
Oh, yeah. So the next week, I get called into the NASCAR trailer. One of the only times that I had to go to the NASCAR trailer. So I go in there, and Dick Beatty, which I love Dick Beatty. He was the He ran the garage for many years, and he was a great guy, ex-racer, ex-biker, right? Motorcycle racer. Tough. There was nobody in the garage area any tougher than Dick Beatty, but old Beatty calls me in the garage area, and he said, man, he said, I want to know what you were doing. He said, France called me from out of the state, said, we've worked so hard to make this sport better, and here you are in the middle of pit road out there getting in a fight. And I said, that's not what happened. He said, will you tell me what happened? I said, well, it was getting ready to be a fight, and I was out there trying to break it up. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, all of them pushing and shoving, and it takes one guy to give another guy the finger, and then here we go. And I said, I'm out there to make sure we don't have a fight. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you something. He said, I appreciate that. I said, by the way, if the same thing happened to you, you would have been in a fight. And he went, oh, no, I wouldn't either. No, I wouldn't. I said, Beatty, you almost got in a fight with the record driver at Martinsville last week. He said, best thing you can do is get out of this trailer right now.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, that was so interesting when we had Ricky Rudd on the show earlier, and he told us he was so honest about how pissed off he was about Dad taking his job. He's like, man, I had went to Richards, and we had built something really great. And Dad, Ricky Rudd said, I'd go over to your dad's house and on the lake, and Dale would ask me all these questions about, man, y'all got it going pretty good over there. What are y'all doing? And he's sitting there pouring his guts out to Dad about all the great things. And then Dad turned around and rooted him out, shoehorned him out of the deal, and stepped in there and won all them championships. And he said that really ruined their relationship. They were really good friends, because I remember Ricky would come over to the house all the time, skiing and carrying on the lake. And then it just abruptly quit. And then next thing I know, they run over each other everywhere they go.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. For me, and I go back to that lifeline again, I was working for Childress about 3 weeks, and we were able to win a race with Ricky there at Martinsville, the first time that I got to go to Victory Lane. But that relationship with Ricky was strained, like you said. But I think even when your dad came to work or came back to RCR, it's one of the things that we talk about a lot on the channel, right, on Sirius. And we talk about the greatest drivers ever. Of course, you've got Richard Petty, you've got Jimmy Johnson, and you got your dad. And you can choose whatever you want to choose, whoever you think they are. But I'll tell them this. Jimmy Johnson came along and stepped into a championship car and a championship team. We were still building that race team, or Richard was still building that race team when your dad got there. If I told you some of the things that they did or we didn't have, it was unbelievable. And to be able to go out there and make a championship team out of what we had was crazy. And I don't think it would have happened with anybody other than your dad, because they were good for each other.
Yeah.
And I'm a friend. I like Ricky Rudd, but I don't think that success would have been there with Ricky. It had to be what it was, and that was your dad. And look, your dad and Richard had one thing in common, right? They both grew up pretty tough, and neither one of those guys finished school. And that was the one thing that they had in common, that they talk about it every once in a while. What their regrets in life, not being able to finish school. So they had that in common, and they were going to be successful in whatever it took, and they were able to do that.
Earnhardt has done it. The crew is delighted. They were a big part of his victory.